Even though we were determined not to inconvenience anyone, we did in the end. Mariko-san showed us around, my sensei helped us find an inn, and we got a ticket for taking an expensive taxi in Japan. The schedule is to meet Marutani-sensei, one of my lecturers at the Indonesia University of Education when we were in Bandung. I will meet sensei at Yatsukato for 2 hours. We will continue the trip to Tokyo, and check in our lodging in Shinjuku, a mainstream city tour around Tokyo, such as Ueno, Asakusa, Shibuya, and Harajuku. We might go to Odaiba, then to a halal restaurant to meet a friend's ex-boss, and later try to get tickets for the Doraemon Museum before heading home. That seems like a good plan. But unfortunately, only on paper. Because what happened after was arguably very chaotic. When realized the three of us didn't know the inn's location, Sensei decided to help. He will assist us in locating the inn, take us to Odaiba, and guarantee our safe return to the inn before heading back to Chiba. Our end turned out to be quite mysterious. Unlike the inn in Yatsukato, the next inn was located 15 minutes away from Shinjuku and had only an address for directions. We think it's a 15-minute walk like the previous inn. It turned out that it was 15 minutes by train from Shinjuku. That hasn't been added to by walking us for almost 2 hours because we got lost. I realized the difficulty of finding the place once Sensei looked at the address and matched it with the railroad tracks. It seems that from Shinjuku, we still have to take a local train with an uncommon name. Are you kidding me? I know Sensei's wife is in the hospital, although not hospitalized. That's why I'm looking for lodging in Yatsukato, so Sensei doesn't have to go to Tokyo when making an appointment. But Sensei also doesn't have the heart to let us who are location blind explore Tokyo without a guide. As a result, he chose to put us first. I apologize with guilt and emotion. I've known Sensei for more than 15 years. Long before he became a lecturer at my campus. I sometimes visit him to ask about lessons or practice Japanese conversation. Other times, I take Sensei on campus tours and act as a guide. Sensei came to an area where only lecturers could enter when I graduated. Since my father passed away, Sensei accompanied my graduation ceremony until it was over and treated me to an expensive Japanese restaurant. Instead of me visiting his wife, Sensei comes and helps me. When I asked worriedly, Sensei tried to calm me down. The train arrives at Shinjuku Station. The problem is, we are not sure of the nearest train station to our lodging because it is not the train line that Tokyo residents usually ride. The only way to find out is to call the innkeeper who is currently at work. Because Japan has strict rules about owning a cell phone SIM card, only other Japanese people can call the innkeeper. In that case, of course, my sensei. After many times not being picked up, when the train arrived, the number suddenly was connected. I know the no phones rule on trains. So I waited anxiously for Sensei to talk on the phone on the platform until we almost missed the train. The owner said our lodgings were a 2-story apartment near the vegetable garden and that there was a konbini a few alleys before. With so many konbini in Japan, it was hard to find out. He spoke to Sensei casually as if to a friend. As far as I know, it's very impolite. After walking for about a kilometer, Sensei asked for the address at the post office. But the post office staff didn't seem too sure when pointing to an area on the map. It was 2 p.m. We should have been having fun. I should have been able to treat Sensei to lunch 2 hours ago. Instead of wasting his time and accompanying us walking for hours. Sensei is almost 80 years old and usually had breakfast earlier at 6 in the morning. It was almost 3 p.m. when we finally found the inn in question. We opened the door to the living room and were immediately shocked. The room was like a broken ship and smelled bad. I'm mad. This place is not like in the photos. The clean and attractive kitchen that made us choose this place was full of dust, a piece of rotten vegetables, the garbage not being taken out, and moldy dry rice in the magic jar. The sink is full of dirty glass laundry and dried coffee spills. The living room feels claustrophobic with dusty musical instruments, even though the windows seem not to be opened very often. Dirty towels and laundry scattered in the bathroom and sofa. Former bed futons on the floor. When we entered the bedroom, we were even more surprised. Instead of the clean and tidy rooms found, the room seemed to have been hit by a storm. It was a mess. I'm not sure if this person intends to rent out their room. We were fined by Airbnb for canceling another inn that had already been approved by the owner for this room. But if it's like this place isn't worth it. Sensei dusted off the thick dust on the sofa, then sat down, picked up the remote, and turned on the television without really wanting to watch. He glanced around with a concerned face, then asked me if we will stay in this place. I replied that this place was just storage, because we would be full outside. For sleeping, we'll tidy up this place first. It was just a simple answer to calm the heart. In reality, I feel cheated. I entered the room and poured out my emotions. I have mixed feelings. Angry, annoyed, and most of all, embarrassed and feeling guilty. We even didn't have food and drink to serve because we didn't have time to shop. I am crying quietly. I closed the door, growled, threw my fists in the air, and held back the tears. I cover my eyes with my hands. Sensei left his sick wife to accompany us. What time is it? We can't offer anything. I didn't see it while walking together. Sensei must be tired but didn't tell me. My friend enters the room. Her face was still in shock after tidying up the bathroom. I quickly wiped away the tears, normalized my voice, and went to the living room. Sensei asked what we wanted to eat. Sensei will be treating us. But I refuse. After what happened today, I was ashamed to Sensei. Restaurants around the station are not yet open. Because most are a kind of cafe. They will open at night. Finally, we crossed the road and entered the supermarket for ready-to-eat food. Sensei helped me read food labels to find out whether they are halal or not. We had a late lunch on the side of the road. Sensei told my friend about the beginning of our friendship in Indonesian. Sensei also gave him his Skype account and offered to learn Japanese for free. Sensei gave a typical Japanese snack and then said goodbye to go home. When I was about to buy a ticket to enter the station, Sensei prevented me. I came all this way to Japan and only met Sensei briefly, with an uncomfortable situation. My heart returns to melancholy. After waving and watching Sensei disappear down the platform, I put on my dark glasses, pulled up my hood, then walked ahead of my friend, hiding my tears. It is the third time I have cried today. Today's Tokyo exploration plan failed miserably. We returned home, then cleaned up. My friends work the most. I'm just helping. I'm still angry with the owner of this house. I was angry because he didn't give the right directions. Because the house doesn't match the photos, and it's very messy. I was also annoyed that he could only be contacted by a Japanese cell phone number and that he used casual language when talking to my sensei. I wanted to use my karate kick and punches to destroy his costly instruments in the living room. Luckily, I was wise enough not to do it as I didn't want to receive any compensation. It could say we tidied up the whole house. From the bedroom and living room, to the bathroom and kitchen. I don't like touching other people's personal belongings. But my friend, who couldn't see a messy bathroom, tidied it up even though we knew the owner is a man. The bathrooms and toilets are clean. Messy, but not dirty. Although, I would rather clean the kitchen and sink, with rotten vegetables, rice, and coffee spills than tidy up dirty personal clothes scattered in the bathroom. After taking a shower, we returned to the nearest station. Inoue-san, my friend's boss from her old office, had made reservations for us to eat at a Middle Eastern halal restaurant in Tokyo. Inoue-san got a taxi from the office and picked us up at the station. After a few minutes, we were in a taxi and turning right. Sirens blared, car lights shone on our taxi, and a loudspeaker commanded us to stop. It's like a scene from a Western movie where the police are chasing criminals. But in this case, we are the criminals. We were all surprised. Especially the driver. Police patrol car behind us. The driver hurriedly got off with a pale face. Dealing with the Japanese police turned out to be time-consuming. Looks like we have to take the straight path. Either because it was dark, the driver did not see a sign prohibiting turning right. I turned my head. The taxi driver in his 70s apologized, not trying to avoid the blame. He took out his ID and signed the papers, and paid the fine directly via a portable machine carried by the police officers. Inoue-san turned to the back seat. "This is the experience of living in Japan," he said in English. "Ticketing by the police." We winced. Pity our taxi driver. He is old, and the fine that seems high. I glanced at the meter, 75.90 yen, and kept walking. My friend and I looked at each other, giving silent guilty looks. We haven't reached the place to eat. But the meter is almost 1 million rupiah. And that's not including fines. When we arrived at the restaurant, I saw the driver nod gratefully to Ino-san. I suspect Ino-san added his meter bill to cover the previous ticket fine. I have no appetite because of today's emotional events, and Middle Eastern food is also not my favorite. But because Ino-san has worked hard to find this halal restaurant, I try to enjoy it. Inoue-san is quite fluent in English. So there's very little to translate. Dinner was very awkward as we ran out of the topic to talk about while the order had yet to come. After eating, Ino-san drove us to Shibuya station. We went back and forth across Shibuya, crossing the road and taking pictures with the Hachiko statue. The line is quite crowded. So we took our photos at once in one shot. We say goodbye to Ino-san at Shinjuku station. Arriving at Gorokyuin station, we still had to turn around, asking for an open Lawson shop. Even though I was exhausted, I kept my promise to help buy Doraemon museum tickets through the Loppy machine. Because Tuesday the museum is closed, we ordered tickets for the day after tomorrow. 11 o'clock. We arrived back at the house. I am happy to get an inbox from Sensei that he has arrived home. Sensei also asked if I was afraid to live in that place. As we were getting ready for bed, suddenly the doorbell rang. We looked at each other in confusion. Shocked for the second time. We didn't expect the house's owner will sleep on the same floor as us and not on the second floor. If he decided to sleep on the couch right at the front of the room, it would be like we were cooped up in our room because we felt uncomfortable. The bell rings again. We put on our headscarves and walked together toward the door with apprehension. It feels weird. The homeowner comes. But we behaved as if we were facing a thief.